Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Which one Chicago character is most likely to leave before the 2025-26 TV season? One Chicago has undergone lots of cast changes over the past 2 years. All 3 shows have seen the departure of centerpiece characters, and the arrival of newcomers who have done a spectacular job of keeping the momentum going. Nobody has been a bust, we can confidently say, but even if the fans love a certain character, that does not mean they are safe from getting written out. We have seen Chicago Fire and Chicago Med characters leave the show in the same season in which they debut. It's always unexpected, given the time and effort put into setting them up, but it's a thing we've grown accustomed to and should consider moving forward. Hence this article. There are many new characters who have undergone crises in the 2024-25 season, to the point where their future is uncertain. We decided to predict which of them will be shown the door before 2025-26 rolls around. Dr. Mitch Ripley, Luke Mitchell, and Dr. John Frost, Darren Barrett are the Chicago Med newcomers who have made the biggest splash. Both have entered into flirtatious dynamics with established Med characters, and in the case of Ripley, these dynamics have resulted in relationships. Frost has proven to be a relatively steady presence within Gaffney Medical Center, however, whereas Ripley has been put through a series of trying storylines. We've seen Ripley lose his best friend under tragic circumstances, we've seen him lose his girlfriend, Dr. Hannah Asher, Jesse Schramm, and we've seen him suffer severe injuries and nearly die after going out of his way to help a woman and child in an abandoned well. It's been rough, and Ripley has missed time at Gaffney as a result. Ripley reminds us of a relatively new Chicago PD character, Dan Torres, Benjamin Levy Aguilar, in that both men have been brought in as one-to-one replacements of other characters, but have been hit with an onslaught of controversies and absences. Torres has also come under the gun for his IU antics, and like Ripley, has missed more episodes that one might expect from a core team member. Both men make decent cases for being written off the show, but given the unresolved nature of their arcs, and the potential importance they may have in their respective season finales, we think they will be able to pull through and live to see future episodes. We can't say we feel as confident about Chief Dom Pascal, Dermot Mulroney, the newcomer on Chicago Fire. Pascal took over as Firehouse 51 chief in the season 13 premiere, and did a fine job, but his fall from grace in recent episodes has completely flipped the script. The character is spiraling, and barring an unforeseen change, he may no longer be fit to lead the team. We don't necessarily want to see Pascal go. Mulroney has been very good this season, but if we had to place a bet, it would be him. The winds of change are always blowing in the One Chicago universe. Over the years, fans have bid tearful goodbyes to beloved characters, some in heart-wrenching tragedy, others in bittersweet departures. But as the franchise enters its next chapter, whispers are swirling once again. Who will be the next to hang up their uniform, badge, or scrubs? Among Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and Chicago Med, there's one name that keeps surfacing. If we had to put our chips on one character most likely to leave before the 2025-26 season, it's none other than Detective Haley Upton from Chicago PD. Here's why, and how it could all go down. The writing on the wall. Haley Upton, played with steely resolve and emotional complexity by Tracy Spiridakos, has been a cornerstone of Chicago PD since season 4, but ever since the departure of her husband, Jay Halstead, Jesse Lee Soffer, Upton has felt adrift. The shadow of Halstead looms large over the intelligence unit, and Haley's increasingly strained mental state has made fans wonder, is she nearing her own breaking point? In recent seasons, the series has leaned into Upton's inner turmoil, her sleepless nights, her over-reliance on work, her complicated dynamic with Voight. It's felt like the slow unraveling of a character who once held it all together with quiet strength. And then came the whispers, behind-the-scenes speculation, subtle shifts in screen time, and that haunting sense that the show is preparing to close her arc. Tracy Spiridakos herself announced she would be leaving during season 11, and with the season winding down, a send-off seems imminent. But how she leaves may be the twist no one sees coming. The exit strategy, Upton's breaking point. Imagine this. A case goes terribly wrong. A young informant that Upton has grown close to, perhaps someone who reminds her of a younger version of herself, is killed because of a botched call. The guilt sends her spiraling, pushing her to challenge Voight more openly, question the methods of intelligence, and reflect on who she's become in the name of justice. When Upton finally confronts Voight in a blistering scene, it's a mix of accusation and confession. "We've crossed too many lines," she says, her voice trembling. "I don't even know where the line is anymore." Voight, ever stoic, tells her what he's always told himself. "We do what we have to." But for Haley, it's no longer enough. In a symbolic moment, she turns in her badge, not in shame, but in an act of self-preservation. "I have to find out who I am without this," she says, walking away from the intelligence unit, from Voight, and from a city that has taken more from her than it's given. What's next for Upton? A move to another city? A new job outside of policing? Maybe she even travels to Bolivia to find Halstead, an off-screen reunion that gives fans some closure without necessitating Jesse Leesoffer's return, though wouldn't it be something if he made a cameo? The door would remain open. That's how One Chicago does its farewells. Emotional, earned, but never final. Why not someone else? Of course, there are other potential exits on the horizon. On Chicago Fire, speculation has simmered around Chief Bowden, possibly retiring, especially as he's taken on more administrative duties and shown signs of being ready to pass the torch. But Bowden is an institution, and shows rarely lose their anchors unless absolutely necessary. Stella Kidd, too, has had moments of introspection, especially as she juggled her leadership role and her marriage to Severide. Yet her bond with Truck 81 and her growth arc suggests she still has more story to tell. On Chicago Med, there's always a revolving door of doctors, but the current roster has stabilized somewhat. Dr. Charles remains the moral compass, and Dr. Archer's redemption arc is still unfolding. While someone like Dr. Crockett Marcel could depart, perhaps finally chasing a new beginning after so much loss, it doesn't carry the same narrative weight as Upton's potential exit. The impact of her departure. Upton's exit would send ripples through the PD universe. How does intelligence fill the void? Does a new detective arrive, or does the departure force someone like Atwater to step up even further? And Voight, always the hardened leader, would once again face the consequences of his choices. Watching another prodigy walk away might finally push him to reckon with his legacy. The emotional fallout would also offer rich storytelling for characters like Burgess and Ruzick, who've shared countless battles with Haley. Her departure could either galvanize them or shake their faith in the job. Final thoughts. The One Chicago franchise is no stranger to change. It thrives on the raw emotion of loss, the resilience of those who stay behind, and the constant churn of duty and sacrifice. But few exits would sting quite like Upton's. She's not just a cop, she's a mirror for the price of loyalty, the cost of crossing lines, and the ache of carrying it all on your shoulders. As the 2025-26 season looms, we may very well see Detective Haley Upton close her chapter with Chicago PD, and while her absence will be deeply felt, her journey, winding, wounded, and ultimately human, will stand as one of the franchise's most unforgettable. Until then, fans will watch every scene with a mix of hope and dread, because in One Chicago, no goodbye is ever easy.